organizers from Chinatowns in New York and Los Angeles who are here to serve notice to the Atlas Capital Group, real estate developers who are driving people out of their homes. We believe our fight in any protest against displacement must begin by acknowledging that we are all settlers of stolen land.
We are a group of volunteers, self-organized across Chinatowns in Canada and United States that have really found a need to talk to each other and connect with each other in exploring how to defend our community. And this is how Coast to Coast Network came together.
It's really historic for sex workers to even be a part of this conversation. The topic of sex workers and API communities is very fraught. And so for us to be here and for us to be able to open up the conversation about how sex work is a labor rights issue, affordable housing, and not just what people typically assume sex workers' rights is really important.
Gentrifiers, developers, and the capital supporting them are transnational and coordinated, working on a global scale from the same playbook we see being used against the Chinatowns and indigenous Black and Brown communities we live in. We are convening in New York City to connect, Skillshare, and strategize further. The goal is to bring these strategies and analysis back to our communities and create new networks of support.
We started because of the death of a massage parlor worker in 2017 on 40th Road, and Flushing, the neighborhood where this worker was working and where she died, is a place of rapid gentrification.
We're the Hillside Tenants Association. We became an association about a year and a half ago when our own landlord started with a rent increase. As neighbors, we decided to come together to put a stop to this, what we consider unfair rent increase.
We filed that lawsuit against them last year, May 2019, and our trial is actually coming up on Wednesday. So we wanted to have an action at their office. If folks can show up, that'd be great to have you there with us.
So when I think about gentrification, I think about both like the history of divestment from Black and brown urban neighborhoods, Chinatowns, which have historically been redlined. The schools are over-policed, which increases people's contact with the criminal justice system.
From the death of Song Yang, who had reported to the police, the 109th precinct, that she had been forced to give sexual services at gunpoint by who she believed to be a cop, and instead of being given help, the police came, raided her place, which resulted in her death. Reporting to police may result in both criminalization and immigration consequences, and also when police officers are the ones committing that violence, which we see increasingly when neighborhoods are being gentrified. Sex workers usually have no one to turn to.
Industry City is basically proposing a rezoning to build 2 new hotels and to expand their experiential retail space. And there is definitely a politics of scarcity because people are saying, even if they don't rezone, they're going to have Amazon there. So we might as well rezone and try to eke out some benefits. And that's the premise of the Community Benefits Agreement. Because I think that addressing gentrification in Sunset Park also needs to kind of address the issues of the climate crisis, the fact that it's a waterfront neighborhood. The proposals that are being made by the developers are not, addressing any of those kind of outstanding issues.
I think the Black Lives Matter movement has been so pivotal in taking a look at the carceral system, at carceral feminism and how that feeds into it, and also turning a gendered lens onto our discourses around criminalization. And there you find sex workers being the majority of women that are criminalized. Another movement that was so important was the Occupy moment. I think having a better economic justice lens and looking at 99% versus 1%, that sort of earlier 1960s discourse of only seeing, sex work along a gendered lens is either empowering or not, doesn't incorporate the more intersectional analysis of economic violence and how people deal with economic violence.
Oftentimes what people who are
building a base, working together, what we're trying to do is show power. So within the power structures, we are working to build up our power, and then we're also working to expand how power is imagined in decision-making processes.
We all are facing similar issues in our Chinatowns and are coming together to strategize in ways that are much more visionary and that are more about trying to push for the type of Chinatown in the future that folks hope to continue to live in.
So does anyone have any strategies to share?
We talked about the tension we have about fighting for small wins that still aren't anywhere near justice and liberation. And we also tied that back to the bigger picture of displacement gentrification in Chinatown. And the tension we also have, like in Washington, rent control is unconstitutional. But rent control, again, is just a band-aid. What we really need is decommodification.
We brought up the conversation when the city announced the jail plan. And then that was when the city started meeting with tenants at CAP to like explain the difference between like prisons and jails, for example. But it was almost like that was too late because the city was already rolling forward with this plan and we needed people to go out to hearings and stuff like that. But people weren't on the same page even about like what this all means and like what is happening.
Yeah, we've learned so much from you guys. So it's just like we're honestly like very grateful, very thankful to every single organization who helps us out because we were able to prove to our neighbors we are able to do something and we've organized.
We started as a group kind of concerned about Hong Kong, but we do really want to to keep our Hong Kong centrism is what I like to call it, and let's move beyond that and really think about local China and Taiwan and just the Sinophone world more broadly and how that is understood in the West, sometimes very problematically.
I think the conclusion we have is around like maybe providing or creating more political education materials around like all these different issues.
We're here today to call out Atlas Capital, which is on the 4th floor of this building right here. We come here all the way from Los Angeles to protest this development. In Los Angeles Chinatown, our median income is $20,000. They are planning to build a 700-unit, fully market-rate luxury building in Chinatown.
Because of developers like you, my old Chinatown is changing a lot. Because of developers like you, our greedy landlords are increasing our rent over 200%. A lot of us have been being harassed. It's not okay for you to come into our community and develop all your luxury hotels and buildings. You're displacing our hard-working parents and grandparents out of the place where they have been calling home for years.
Atlas Capital is the epitome of speculative real estate capital coming from New York, from Law Street, trying to destroy our low-income communities of color all across the continent. Back in LA Chinatown, we lost our only full-service grocery store. Iowa Market now stands empty, this huge space, while developers like Tom Gilmore, who are friends with folks like Atlas Capital, just sit with the land and let it speculate. In Los Angeles, Atlas Capital and developers like them are not only developing in Chinatown, but all over Los Angeles' low-income community. Black community in South Central, Latinx community in Boyle Heights are all facing these predatory developers.
My name is Xiao. I grew up in New York's Chinatown. Because we're low income, we had to move around a lot. Over the course of 10 years, we were in and out of the shelter system, and we never had a stable home. And Chinatown was the only place we would always go back to no matter what, but because of that, we had to endure the worst possible conditions. I'm here today because housing is a human right, and no one should ever have to feel like this. No one should ever have to know what it feels like to not have a home. We need truly affordable housing, and we cannot compromise because of the dire situation that's happening to our community. We are going to now request for Atlas Capital to have the decency to at least come down and see our community.
Woo! Oh, Chinatown!
Not you stupid office building! Excuse me. Not you stupid office building! I can't have it. This is a private property. They have to stay out.
Why won't they Why won't they come and see us? Can I please come in and meet with our future landlord?
So they could take our money.
So
they could take our money, but they can't see us. We're public as well. Why can't we go in there and talk to them? Shame on you! Cowards! 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 Just their fucking puppets. They don't give a shit about you guys. You guys are just like us. You guys are just like us. You guys don't have the fucking power they have. You guys are just their fucking puppets to do their dirty work. Have those cowards come and face us. Go ahead and tell them to come and face us.
When do we want it? Now! Who owns Chinatown?
Not your stupid office building.
Who owns Chinatown?
Not your stupid office building.
Coast to coast Chinatown?
Not back down.
This is a new experience for me. Meeting new people and knowing that it's not only LA that's going through this.
我身同感受，因為我都喺唐人街，都有啲landlord 屋主咧會逼我哋啲住客，所以我覺得我要企出嚟咯，幫一幫。
I know the economy is really bad, but they have to understand that we live paycheck to paycheck.
如果你哋唔出嚟咧，唐人街個名係會冇，因為會俾有錢嘅人咧入侵嘅，所以希望多啲唐人有能力嘅出嚟。
We'll be back! 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 We'll be back!